All right. Hey there, and welcome to this episode where we're going to talk about three common things that often keep people from really getting better when it comes to OCD and anxiety. And I want to kind of dive into each one and really kind of debunk the myth or the belief, and then really offer some insight into how to overcome it. So, real quick, for those of you that don't know, I am running a live event at the end of February, the last week of February of 2024. So please click the link in the notes for that. It's going to be 3 days of live coaching with me. We're going to be going into some great stuff, doing live Q&As, hot seats. I'm going to be giving you individual feedback based on all the homework you do. It's going to be very impactful. Very excited about the event. So please, again, click the links if you want to join. Please make sure to claim your spot as soon as possible. So let's go ahead into the ideas of today. So a lot of people will reach out to me and kind of, I've seen patterns of people, again, wanting help, but, not willing to take the jump to get help, and, or staying stuck in certain cycles for months or even years at a time. And I've noticed these patterns and belief structures that really keep people stuck. And so I wanted to address three common beliefs that people have about getting help and getting guidance that I believe keep them stuck. So, and then I want to just offer some generic insight, and my own beliefs now, having overcome and having experienced all of these and overcome them. So the first belief that a lot of times prevents people from getting help is it won't work, or I won't get better, and essentially it'll be a waste of time and waste of money, waste of energy. You can kind of interchange any story here that you want or that fits best with you. The idea that it won't work is, or it may not work, I should say, is not, so the idea that there's a risk involved, people won't take the step of, let's say, getting, guidance or, trying something that could help them. At the end of the day, I totally acknowledge there's a ton of people and a ton of different resources that present that they can help OCD and anxiety. And, in my opinion, are not good options, right? There, an example might be, and I'll just kind of speak blatantly about this. If someone was advertising alcohol or, let's say, marijuana as a solution for anxiety, they can present that. And at the end of the day, it's not going to do anything long term. It's simply just going to mask the energy. It's going to mask the emotion. And this is why, I don't see that as a solution, right? And so they might try to sell you on that, though, because that's what they believe. And people try it. And then oftentimes it might exacerbate the symptoms. It doesn't work over long term. And so they have to try something else. So just trying something, and because it might not work, is not a bad thing. If anything, all it does is it helps educate you on, hey, this was not a good path. Now I need to try something else. So the idea of not investing in yourself, or not taking help, or not pursuing help because it might not work for you. Number one, going into it with the idea that it's not going to work is really going to supercharge the idea that it probably won't work for you, just because you're going to come in with that expectation. Secondly, even if it doesn't work, it's still going to teach you what not to do, which is going to point you closer to the direction of getting the correct guidance, the correct help. And when you understand that what you're worth getting better, you're worth pursuing the result, and you need to keep pursuing the result until you get it, that if something does or doesn't work is almost irrelevant, because it will always bring you a step closer to that which will help you, right? So not taking it because you're afraid it may not work is not a justifiable thing, because ultimately what you're doing isn't working, right? So any step that you take, even if it's the wrong one, is better than staying stuck where you are, right? No matter what. Because at least you're trying to get yourself out and trying to better yourself, and instead of just allowing yourself to essentially stay stuck in a bad situation. Second thing is, not wanting to get guidance or help because of really an element of pride, right? So it can be a couple things. Number one, it might be a story is, something to the effect of, I want to do this myself, right? And I hear a lot of people say, I'd rather just do this myself. And it's almost this element of I need to prove this to myself that I don't need help. I need to prove this to myself that I'm really not that bad. So I can it's something I can do on my own. And it really is this underlying belief that getting help is bad. It's a weakness, right? You should be strong enough not to need help. In these kind of stories. And all I would really say to this particular mindset um, is really this idea that you know getting guidance what getting guidance and getting help does is it time consolidates for you. And what that means is let's say that I don't particularly know a ton about engines, right? I've done a little bit of work, and understand a few things. But at the end of the day, if you put a bunch of pieces together of an engine on a driveway and said, Matt, you need to assemble this engine in this car, I would have a very tough time with that. Okay. Um, Now, if that task was given to me and I was able to take guidance from someone who really knows engines, that's going to time consolidate that whole experience where I could do it in probably 1/10 or 1/100th or 1/1000th of the time it would actually take me to learn it on my own. So I understand that getting guidance and getting help from someone is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of they have an expertise in something that I don't. And instead of me having to go through the pain and journey of learning that on my own, I can bypass that whole process and they can time consolidate that for me. Right. And that's what guidance and help is. That's all it is. And the idea of admitting that you have a problem, um, you know, and then feeling a sense of shame for that, at the end of the day, it's like being honest is much more of a sign of strength than living in denial about something. So honesty and saying, hey, I need help or I need guidance on this is a sign of strength, in my opinion, because it's your willingness to confront and say, hey, I don't know how to do this. I need help. That's not a sign of you're too weak to do it. It's a sign that you just don't know how to, right? There's a difference between not knowing how to do something and then associating that with being dumb or weak or all these other stories that we stack on that. And so that would be, really the second belief that I see people stuck is this idea of like this pride element of like, I need to do this or I don't want to admit that I have a problem, right? And then finally, there's the element of fearing investing in yourself. And this can come from a variety of ways. Like, and I mean, and it doesn't necessarily need to be with like coaching or, an event or a program or whatever it is, or therapy, whatever, right? Because this is really about investing in yourself in any way, shape, or form. It may just be your willingness to buy a book for yourself, right? I mean, you can even take a small thing like that. Like there's been many times where, I may have recommended a book to someone and they're like, oh, I don't want to buy it. Is it free online? Okay, it's not. No, I don't want it. Right. And all the way up to actually, telling people, hey, you really need like an intensive or you really need residential or whatever level of help they need. A lot of times people will run into this idea, well, I don't want to invest in that. And they see whatever it is as a cost, right? They see it as an expense. And that perspective, I think, really holds people back because when you see it as a cost, it's like this bad thing, right? This thing that I shouldn't have to, essentially pay for or invest in. And what happens is that they convince themselves why spending or engaging in that investment or spending that amount of money is not worth it, right? And here's a different perspective to potentially look at. It's like if you take what you make per hour or what you like, not even what you make per hour, what you believe your hour is worth, right? Because what you make per hour and what your hour is actually worth are probably two totally different things. So take the maximum amount that you believe your hour of your life is worth, right? When it comes to exchanging it for work, and then expand that in the amount of time that you've invested in trying to, let's say overcome OCD and anxiety. So if you've been struggling with it for 2 months, like how much is 2 months of work for you, right? Or how much is 2 years or 2 decades, whatever it is. And quantify that number for yourself, right? And really look at how much you've invested financially into trying to actually solve this on your own, especially if you haven't gotten results. Because a lot of times we don't quantify it like this. We say, well, this is all free because I haven't paid anything, or I haven't had to, pay for any help or guidance. And it's like, no, it's not free. It's like all those hours that you're spending, trying to do this on your own and not getting results are a legitimate expense, you know, and actually have a certain dollar amount attached to it, because a lot of times if you weren't working on OCD, you could be doing the things you want to. You could be, pursuing a career you want to pursue. You could be doing the things you want to be doing in life, right? And a lot of people don't ever look at it like this, right? So really, you have to kind of see, like, if you drew out in your path thus far, like, how much have you actually invested by just taking your hours and attributing a dollar amount to them, can really show you how much you've actually already invested without getting results, and why investing in help and guidance actually is probably a way smaller investment than the one that you've already made or are going to continue to make if you keep going the lone wolf route, right? Additionally, it's so important to realize that what you're investing in is the time consolidation. You're investing in the ability to someone else give you their knowledge, their wisdom, their guidance, so that you don't have to learn it all on your own. And when you realize that time's the most important thing that you actually have, investing to save time is the most logical thing to do, which is why in any aspect of my life, I'm always investing in guidance of others. Whatever it is. If I don't know how to do something, I have learned the hard way over the years that trying to go the lone wolf and figure it all out myself route never goes as well as if I invested in guidance from someone who's really, really good at it. Because the amount of time that's saved is ultimately far outweighs the financial investment of it. Because if I equate the amount of time and then put a dollar amount to all that time, that's always a higher number than, than again, investing in someone who's able to consolidate that time. So these are just some ideas, 3 common beliefs, right, that I see kind of people that really keep people stuck and really prevent people from taking that leap and getting the help and guidance and resources they need to get better. And I wanted to just kind of address them head on, because I've noticed these kind of questions come in more and more and more. And so I thought it would be worth to make an episode on it and really just address them head on and share my thoughts. Again, you don't have to agree with them, and you may not agree with them, and that's totally okay, right? But again, it comes back down to this idea of like results. And that's really what, we're always after. And if you aren't getting the results that you're looking for, the results that you desire, you got to ask yourself, are any of these beliefs standing in my way here or anything like this? And then more importantly, how can I change this story or maybe adopt a different belief that's going to serve me better on my journey? So, with that said, if you don't agree with it, you don't need to send me hate mail. It's okay. You don't need to agree with it. But if this does align with you and you are looking for guidance and coaching, one thing, again, just like I told you in the episode, we do have this workshop that we're doing, this live workshop with me, where you'll be receiving live coaching from me directly. So if that is something that you're interested in, again, check out the links in the notes. We are running that at the end of the month. And then other than that, please help us out by liking and subscribing, hitting the little notification bell on YouTube. And with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Hey there. So if you enjoyed that video, we've linked up a few more videos that we think you'd find helpful as well. And if you have found this helpful, we'd really appreciate your support by liking and subscribing. And if you're looking for help and guidance, please check out restoredminds.com, as we have several options for you to get started. See you guys soon.